You check your bank account at the end of the month, and somehow there's less than you expected. Again, you didn't buy anything crazy. You didn't go on an expensive trip. You didn't make any big mistakes, but the money is gone, and you have no idea where it went. This happens to millions of people every single month. People who earn decent salaries, people who consider themselves responsible, people who genuinely believe they are trying. And the reason it keeps happening has nothing to do with how much you earn. It has everything to do with something running silently in the background, something psychology has identified, something most people never see until it's too late. If this sounds familiar, subscribe to Broke Pattern right now and hit the like button. We break down the financial behaviors nobody talks about every single week. The invisible drain. Most people assume their bank account isn't growing because they don't earn enough. So they work harder. They take on extra hours. They chase promotions. And when the raise finally comes, they feel relief for about 3 weeks. Then the account is empty again, and they can't explain why. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain has a built-in financial ceiling, a number it considers normal for your bank balance. Too much above that number, and the brain gets uncomfortable. It starts finding reasons to spend. A new subscription here, an upgrade there, a dinner out that wasn't planned, too much below that number, and the brain panics. It creates stress that impairs your thinking, making you more impulsive, more short-term focused, more likely to make the exact decisions that drain the account further. This ceiling isn't random. It was set during your childhood, based on what you saw, heard, and felt about money growing up. And unless you identify it and deliberately raise it, your bank account will keep returning to that same invisible number, no matter how much you earn. The 3 silent killers. There are 3 specific behaviors that silently drain bank accounts. Most people have at least 2 of them. Almost nobody talks about them. The first is called passive spending. This is money that leaves your account automatically. Subscriptions you forgot you had. Services you signed up for and never use. Free trials that converted to paid plans months ago. Research shows the average person underestimates their monthly subscriptions by 40%. 40%. That money leaves silently every single month, without a single conscious decision. The second is called social friction spending. This is money spent to avoid uncomfortable social situations, splitting a bill when you ordered less, buying a round of drinks to fit in, attending events you can't afford because saying no feels worse than going broke. The brain prioritizes social comfort over financial logic every single time, because social rejection feels more threatening than an empty bank account. The third is called future avoidance spending. This is the most dangerous one. It happens when the future feels so uncertain or overwhelming that the brain stops planning for it entirely and redirects that money toward immediate pleasure instead. Why save for something that feels impossible? Why invest when the future feels so far away? The brain answers these questions by spending now, because now feels real, and the future doesn't. The bank account psychology. Here's something almost no financial advice ever addresses. Your relationship with a growing bank account is complicated. For many people, watching their savings grow creates anxiety. Not relief, anxiety. Because a growing balance triggers unconscious beliefs. Beliefs like, this money will disappear anyway. Beliefs like, I don't deserve to have this much. Beliefs like, something bad is about to happen. These aren't logical thoughts. They are emotional responses programmed before you understood what money was, and they sabotage saving at every opportunity. The moment the balance gets too high, the brain finds a way to bring it back down. A spontaneous purchase, a generous gesture, a sudden urgent expense that wasn't urgent at all. Psychologists call this self-sabotage through financial thermostat behavior. Your internal thermostat has a set point, and it will always return the balance to that point, up or down, no matter what. This is also why people who receive unexpected money, an inheritance, a bonus, a gift, tend to spend it within weeks. The thermostat kicks in. The balance returns to normal. And normal is whatever your brain decided normal was a long time ago. Why budgets don't work. At this point, most financial advice would tell you to make a budget. Track your spending, cut your subscriptions, stop buying coffee. And that advice isn't wrong. But it's incomplete because it treats the symptom, not the cause. Budgets fail not because people are undisciplined, Budgets fail because they don't address the psychological thermostat. You can follow a budget perfectly for 3 weeks. Then, one emotional trigger appears. Stress at work, an argument at home, a moment of loneliness, and the budget collapses. Not because you're weak, because the emotional need the spending was meeting was never addressed. Studies in behavioral economics show that willpower-based financial strategies fail in over 80% of cases within the first month. 80%. Because willpower is a limited resource, and it depletes under stress, the same stress that financial anxiety creates. You cannot outwork a psychological pattern with discipline alone. The pattern has to be understood first, then changed at the root. How to raise your financial ceiling. Breaking the invisible drain requires 3 specific shifts. Shift 1. Find your financial thermostat number. What balance feels normal to you? What amount in your account makes you feel uncomfortable? That number is your ceiling. Write it down. Most people have never consciously identified it, but it controls every financial decision they make. Shift 2. Audit your passive spending. Not a full budget, just 1 hour. Go through your last 3 bank statements. Highlight every recurring charge. You will find money leaving your account that you completely forgot about. This single exercise recovers an average of $100 to $300 per month for most people, without changing a single behavior. Shift 3. Identify your emotional spending window. What time of day do you spend most impulsively? What emotional state precedes your biggest unnecessary purchases? Track it for 2 weeks. The pattern will become impossible to ignore, and awareness alone reduces impulsive spending by up to 30%, according to research in consumer psychology. You don't need more money, you need to stop the invisible drain, and now you know exactly where to look. Your bank account isn't empty because you don't earn enough. It's empty because of an invisible system running in the background, a psychological thermostat set long before you understood what money was. Silent subscriptions draining automatically, social pressure spending you never consciously chose, and a brain that finds a way to return to its comfort zone every single time. Now you can see the drain, and now you can stop it. Tell me in the comments, which of these 3 silent killers do you recognize most in yourself? Drop it below. I read every single one. And if this video made you think differently about your bank account, share it with someone who needs to see it. See you in the next one.